Seeing as we have all the commissioners here, I would ask that those that so wish join me by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we have a few people in the audience tonight. Thank you for coming. It's generally we have been fortunate in the past couple of months, but prior to that, we really didn't have many people who had attended. So thank you.
And they're from Scarborough.
Oh, they are?
My people.
Well, then you're excused. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second?
Motion by Commissioner Cloutier and second by Jean Marie. And are there any questions or answers or changes? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Informational reports. Let's see, there's nobody here from the Council of Governments. Our district attorney is not present. And the regional communication, I think that's just for our information. So we'll move on to comments from the public. There is, just to remind people, there are 3 minutes per speaker, and the public comment period is limited to 1 hour, and we ask everybody to please respect one another. So is there anybody that wishes to speak from the audience tonight?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Rod Wendt. I live in Scarborough, and I'm here because we oppose having ICE active in our Cumberland County Jail. I have a question more than a statement. This morning, Governor Mills allowed LD 1971 to become law in the state of Maine, which imposes a lot of limitations on what law enforcement can do with respect to cooperating with ICE and with immigration enforcement in general. I'd be interested in what the commission thinks the impact would be on Cumberland County from the passage, not the passage, but allowing this bill to become law. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? Seeing none, I will close that part of the agenda. And I guess as the chair's prerogative, I can ask the sheriff, do you have any comment on the question that was asked?
Yeah, we'll continue to follow whatever law is precedent. There's a number of things in the new law, and there are a number of variations going around, so I don't even know what, I know there was a committee working on that, so it's like which law was signed. And then how does that affect us, you know? My concern is you're gonna have a law that is put into place, but you got other laws that are making us do what we're doing today. And the governor's own DOC commission has required us to accept ICE inmates. So where does that go? So I think the future is that I'm going to reach out to some legal assistance to find out what is the prevailing law. Because, you know, unfortunately, once again, and I'm speaking for law enforcement officers in the state of Maine, the water's getting murky, and some of these individuals that are trying to do their job on a day-to-day basis are up against, okay, am I violating the law if I do my job that I've been doing, and et cetera. So, you know, I think unfortunately, Public safety, my concern is that we're trading politics for public safety. Well, public safety for politics, however you want to do it. And I do have some concerns, but I'll figure out what the law is, and as I've said before, I'll follow the law, whatever it is.
Thank you. Thank you. Consent agenda.
Move passage.
Second?
Does anybody want to remove the item? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda passes. New business. Item 25-124, adopt the following amendments to the Cumberland County Administrative Regulations and Policies. Repeal and replace number 5, purchasing policy, and amend number 7, surplus material and sale of county property, and number 14, credit card policy.
So moved.
Second.
Does anybody have any comments that they wish to make on these, any or all of these items?
I'm just going to make a comment.
Sure.
I think it's important to keep our policies clean in terms of, how we operate within county government, and it seems pretty normal to see all these policies come around, like credit card, surplus. That's where sometimes, if you don't have rules and boundaries, you have problems, so it's good to clean it up and have those rules in place. They seem fairly straightforward from my reading, and I support these. Thank you.
The only comment I'll have, and it's just a typo, you might want to look at the word cessation. The next item, then, oops. So we have a motion on the floor.
Public comment.
Huh?
Public comment.
Is there any public comment on that? Thank you.
No worries.
Seeing none, I'll close it. Do we have a motion on the floor?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
We're looking for the vote.
And no comments, so those in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Item 25-125, review and approve the amendments to the non-union personnel policy, which includes Appendix D, the lactation policy, and to Article 9, Section 9.4, earned pay leave. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Oops, sorry.
Is there any comment? I have a question, Amy.
Yes.
Under paid leave, to me, it's open. Is there any way that you have control over somebody asking for sequential short-time leave? In other words, let's say somebody comes in and says, I can get a ride home if I leave an hour early every night.
I think that would be up to the supervisor.
They
to
have
kind of
that,
accom-
they have that
Yeah, to
ability?
use that earned
Yeah.
paid leave, yes.
Seeing no other comments, those in favor?
Public comment.
Public comment.
I'm not used to that.
That's okay.
Public-
That's why I'm right here, just
Yeah.
to whisper.
Is there any public comment on this? Seeing none, move on to the next. Oh, those in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 25-126, amendment of the 2024-2025 budget general obligation bond schedule project.
Move passage.
Second?
That's okay.
Comments?
I think there should be some kind of,
Yeah, maybe we could have a
explanation.
little comment from the
Right.
management for the benefit of,
It's going so well, okay.
We're going to make you work tonight a little bit.
Thank you. The FY 25-26 budget had an appropriation within it of $3.973 million for a general obligation bond. That $3.9 million was earmarked to 3 projects that we were going to be doing. The first was the jail roof at $2.5 million. The second was the parking and garage improvements at just under $674,000. And then the third is the state court side window replacement, in particular the north side of the building only, at $800,000. In working with the facilities director, he has brought to my attention that the courthouse fire alarm system that they was originally felt as though it had a few more years and that they were able to get a couple of parts for it to buy some time so we could get to another budget. That was not going to be achieved. And the system was failing faster than what they expected, and the parts were becoming more and more scarce because of the age of the system. He has made a strong recommendation that this system needs to be replaced in the coming year. Because of this, it has made us rework the bond schedule for that $3.9 million. One thing I can report is that in working with the architects on the jail roof and the parking garage improvements, neither of those projects have enough money to do the full project. In particular, the parking garage is a multi-phase project to begin with, and we propose reducing that project down just about $150,000, say, down to $524,000. We have also learned from the architects who are designing the replacement of the jail roof that out of the 10 or 11 sections of the roof, the $2.5 million is not going to cover all of the sections of the roof, and that we would have additional monies that would be needed. And so knowing that, we're proposing to take that down to $500,000, down to $2 million for the jail roof, and focusing our attention on bidding out the top priority roof sections that are in most need of replacing per the architects. So in totality, we would reduce the jail roof down to $2 million, the parking garage down to $524,000, the stateside window replacement would stay at $800,000, and then we would add the courthouse fire alarm system for $650,000, keeping the bond amount at $3.9 million. We have rounded up slightly to $3.974 million. And in talking with the bond advisor, because of the reduction in the interest rates from what we based our bond from a year and a half ago when we developed the budget, or a year ago when we developed the budget, that capacity is there to bump that up and round that off. So that would be my proposal, and I'd ask for your approval this evening.
So let's see if I've got this right. What the short part of it is, we're not going to complete any of the projects that we've got. We'll do what's required. And we will increase, and we'll do we'll add the fire alarm. And we'll increase the bonding from essentially $9.3 million to $9.4 million.
No, the bonding would be, it's more of a rounding, because if you go out to bond, they don't like to have kind of off numbers. The commissioners approved $3,973,901 back when the FY26 budget was approved. We're proposing that just be $3.974 million.
Moved it up $100.
What's that?
In a sense, yes.
Any comments from the commissioners? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Passes passes. Item 25127, approval of the 2026 calendar year Board Commissioners meeting.
Point of order, maybe? A number of us were hoping to give general public comment, and we didn't realize it was going to be the first thing on the agenda, given the number of things ahead of it on the agenda that was provided to the public. Is it possible to reopen the general public comment period?
That's up to the commission.
I don't have problems, not many of them there.
I don't care.
Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll move to reopen.
Second?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, with and the issue is that we have had the public comment period. We're reopening it. So what I will say is that, again, it's 3 minutes per speaker. Limit is to essentially 1 hour because we only had one comment. So if there's somebody that wishes to speak, please.
Good evening, I'm Shelby Layton. I'm a resident of South Portland. You all have heard from me before to ask you to end the contract with ICE. I just wanted to address tonight a couple new pieces of information. The first one is that now the governor has indicated that she plans to let LD 1971 become law. And what that means is that a law enforcement agency may not use agency or department money or personnel to detain a person for immigration enforcement purposes. I think that pretty clearly prohibits what the county has been doing here. And at the very least, it stops the sheriff and the county and the jail from cooperating with ICE in all the ways that they've been cooperating with ICE. And so, I think that what that means is really the next last step to end all cooperation with ICE is to end the contract. And that is a step you can take now without waiting for LD 1971 to become law in July or August or whenever it'll become law. There are people being detained at the jail now, and there's no reason to wait until this summer to end the contract. The other piece of information is the newly released data about ICE arrests from the Deportation Data Project. There was some general data cited in a newspaper article you might have seen about the number of ICE arrests in Maine, but I wanted to point you to something specific, which is that there were 27 people arrested between January and October 2025 at the Cumberland County Jail. So that means that ICE is using the jail as a source for its arrests, and many of those people were then sent out of state, were then deported. And so having this jail and having this contract in our community is making it easier for ICE to come in and arrest people and take them out of state, disappear them to wherever they want to disappear them to. And so I think this is an urgent issue, not just to stop ICE detention, but to prevent additional arrests by ICE. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Todd Cretion, live at 1917 Washington Avenue, just down the street. As you can see, we decided to kind of give you guys a break tonight, so we're having a shorter comment. Fewer people, but we'll be back in January in force because, as Shelby said, we feel like we're getting close to the end of this road, and it's very important that the Commissioners make a decision in the affirmative about ending the contract. I'll just say, in addition to what Shelby mentioned about the arrest numbers, Customs and Border Patrol and ICE are proudly boasting that together they have detained more than 1,000 people in Maine so far this year, which is an enormous increase from last year. Very few of those people have gone through the Cumberland County Jail. They are immediately sent out of state. They are disappeared. Most of the people in the Cumberland County Jail from those detentions are not from Maine. You probably saw in the news that Representative Pingree was down in Scarborough last week trying to find out if lawyers would be allowed to accompany their clients to meet with ICE for check-ins. She was denied. She was not denied entrance, but she was given official word that there was not enough room in the ICE facility in Scarborough for lawyers to accompany their clients. So it's just another piece of information about how out of control ICE and Border Patrol are these days, and that we should not be cooperating with them. I can personally verify what Representative Pingree found out in Scarborough. When I brought a person there for a check-in, we were met at the door by a contracted security guard who has no relationship with the federal government other than an extension of a private security guard contract. That person, on their own authority, made a review of the documents we were trying to submit and told us to leave and that we were all set. That is to say that there is no law governing the ICE facility in Scarborough. It is completely a law unto itself. It doesn't recognize the elected representatives that we send to Congress. It doesn't recognize a normal course of representation, and that we should not be participating in any way, shape, or form in cooperating with such an agency. So you know all that. So we just want to say that we are here tonight pending allowing you to have some more discussions and some more thought. We look forward to coming back in the new year. We will come back in force in the new year, and we look forward to raising this issue again in 2026.
Good evening. My name is Paula Tabaski. I live in Brunswick, and you've heard from me before about ending this contract, and I've chosen to spend my time here with you tonight asking you once again to end this contract rather than being with my family to celebrate Hanukkah, because this is so important to me. I do that because the values that this holiday represents, light and justice, are fundamentally incompatible with the contract that you have with ICE. Just again, history remembers moments like these. So do the communities who live here longer than who live here with the consequences long after your decisions are made. So again, I ask you humbly, please end the contract. Thank you.
Yes, hi. My name is Reverend Allison Smith, and I'm from Harpswell, Maine. And I'm here also at this busy time of the year because there are mothers in the jail right now. They will not be home for Christmas because of our contract with ICE. One of those moms has a 2-year-old. Maybe you've had a 2-year-old at once in your life, or maybe you have a grandchild that's a 2-year-old, and the 2-year-old is separated from their mom. Another mom's been there 8 months. They both had jobs, they both were working, they were both supporting their families, and these are just 2 examples of the dozens of people who are so close to us right now. They came to the United States believing that they would not be treated differently by the color of their skin or where they were from, and that equal justice under the law was a foundation of this country. You can end the contract. You could even do it tonight. The jail will still process detainees from ICE, but the difference will be we will not incarcerate people who are from different states and be a cog in the wheel of this brutal system. I urge you to find out how many immigrant women are in the jail right now who are from Maine. For those commissioners who voted to keep the contract, please feel the urgency of this moment. This is not just an intellectual decision, it is a moral one. Every single day, those mothers are separated from their families. They're here indefinitely because of this contract. And we are complicit in this brutal and cruel policy. It is such a far cry from peace on earth and goodwill to all. As Dr. King once said, the time is always right to do what is right. The time is always right to do what is right.
Hello, my name is Jack O'Brien. I'm a professor of mathematics at Benton College. I'm a 7th generation Mainer, and I'm a resident of Brunswick. and I'm asking you to please end the contract with ICE. I've had the time to look through the point-in-time surveys that have been provided to No ICE for me, and I see that as of today, we are using the jail 25 times more than when the contract was signed. The commission made no statement to the public that such changes were occurring. There was no sense that we needed to be included in such a vast change. And now that ICE has come knocking on the door, the claim of some of the commissioners is that, oh, this is just business as usual. And so I wrote to my commissioner, I live in Brunswick, I'll let you do the math, and I got an email back that basically said, well, if we don't take this $2.5 million windfall, I will have to raise the taxes on some property owners by about $7. So let's just look at the $7 on average for the residents of Brunswick, Maine, versus the civil rights of hundreds of Black and brown Americans and residents of our state right now who are being foisted by $7. $7, and what a shameful opinion for a commissioner to have. What a visibly white supremacist attitude that our commissioner, our chairman, is smiling at, that he is engaged in a statement which in retrospect will be seen to be the despicable holding up of an institutional white supremacy that we can no longer avoid. Please cancel the contract.
Seeing no other people that wish to speak, and I'll close again the public session for good. I see we have our district attorney here. District Attorney, would you please come forth and explain your program that we wanted to hear about last time?
Yes, my apologies. I thought we were on for this time. It was supposed to be last time. Thank you for the action you took last time. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I want to start out by, I think, explaining what we're doing with this, the sex assault investigator position. We have, as I think the entire set of commissioners knows and staff, a $2.5 million grant that we received from the federal government to do all of the inventory of sex assault kits in Cumberland County. We're the first county in Maine that's applied for one of these grants. They're usually very hard to get. So we were thrilled on our first time to get one of these grants. It will allow us to inventory every single sex assault kit in Cumberland County. That work is already underway. As part of that work, however, we also need to investigate potential cases. And so we are supposed to hire, and in our grant, the proposal is to hire a sex assault investigator. We initially worked really closely with the county and the sheriff to go ahead and put out a request for applicants through the sheriff's office. That's how our current domestic violence investigator is hired. However, it became really clear once we made that position available that between the change that would have to come for someone to take what is a temporary position, and I think that's really the thing I want to emphasize, there really was very little interest in applying for that from the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office currently does have a MOU with us for the domestic violence investigator. That is not a temporary position. That is funded year to year by the county. So once we realized, frankly, with a lot of work on both the sheriff's office side and our office's side, that it just didn't make sense to try to do this through the sheriff's office, we got some terrific advice from staff at the sheriff's office that we should consider having an investigator directly hired by the district attorney's office. It was pointed out to me, something I didn't know then, which was that there are a number of domestic violence investigators throughout the state who are actually hired right from within the district attorney's office. So we are not the first county to do this by any means. We've been working really closely with 2 counties that have programs that we think are very comprehensive. District 4, that's my former district in Augusta, Kennebec County, and District 1, and that is York County, which is comparable in size. They have both worked with their domestic violence investigators as direct hires. Whereas before we had an MOU with the sheriff's office for our domestic violence investigator, it would kind of go the opposite way from everything we're seeing right now from the way these other 2 districts have their internal investigators. They have an MOU with the sheriff's office to make sure that some things like training can be participated in by the investigator. So we're working really closely with the county on trying to figure out exactly what the right language is to put out a request for applicants. We anticipate doing that in the pretty short term. We're already a little bit behind what we'd hoped because of this kind of two-step with the help of the sheriff's office. I do think we're going to be in a much more sustainable position, though. I think we'll get people who want maybe to do this work in retirement for a while. That might be quite ideal for this position. And we're hopeful to have an applicant really coming in through the regular county hiring process, I would hope sometime over the next several weeks. I know that my assistant district attorney, Tina Panitis, has been working very closely with Amy on this. So, certainly if there's any information you want on that part of the process, I'm happy to offer what I know. I know Amy really has been very helpful about getting us ready to put the position out for public proposal. So if anybody has any questions, we'll be back to talk about the inventory, what we've done with the grant, and to make sure that the commissioners are fully aware of where we are and what the next steps are. That'll be probably sometime in February or March that we're back before you on that. But for now, in terms of the position, the change is not having an investigator really embedded with the sheriff's office but working at our office, but rather hire the investigator directly from the district attorney's office, as is the case in 4 other districts, including that in Augusta and in York County. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have one question. Yeah, you mentioned a little bit that we're running a little bit behind the time clock, so to speak. It's a 3-year program, is that correct?
It is a 3-year program. After we, so the 3-year clock starts when the grant is awarded, even though the money isn't available for several months after. That's one of the kind of interesting things about a federal grant. So it's considered to have begun in October, even though we didn't actually receive any funding and could not officially fill the position until May for the prosecutor. So the inventory, again, this is something we don't know until we get into the grant. The inventory is supposed to take 6 months. And that's from the time it starts, or is it from the time the grant was awarded in October? Because if it's from the time the grant is awarded in October, you're behind before you can hire the position. The inventory is supposed to have 2 full-time people, the investigator and the prosecutor. So ADA Panitis, Prosecutor Panitis, has been proceeding to conduct the inventory by herself. So we knew that that would put that work a little bit behind our idealized schedule as well. Having said that, when we went back to our federal grant, our grant managers on this, they pretty much said, oh yeah, that's very, very common. The inventory, in fact, takes up to about a year. So we're learning as we go that some of these grant deadlines, once you're actually into the grant work, look a little bit different. I will say our federal partners on this through the Department of Justice have been really fabulous. They've given us consistent information about, what we can do to make sure that we are absolutely on the up and up with grant reporting. And so although I was, I think, a little concerned about not being right where I wanted to be on the inventory, but we were reassured quite quickly that that's a very common experience. We expect, though, to be doubling our efforts once the investigator is on board, which would help a lot. So I think one of the towns we're about to be next in is Cape Elizabeth. What I will be bringing back to you is, and then there are 5 other towns that we're about to go to as well. I'll be bringing back to the commissioners either with a presentation or with something that's information, how many we've done, how many kits we can either test or not test. You may know that Maine law has 2 categories for kits, reported kits and unreported kits. Only the reported kits under Maine law can be tested. Some of our initiative is going to be to have to do some sort of public awareness campaign to let people know that if they have a sex assault kit that they listed as unreported, we did a survey last year and found that people who were new sex assault kits, those victims were telling us that they expected that their kits would be tested whether or not they were reported or unreported. And so there was so much misunderstanding about what the statute means when they select in the midst of this trauma and frankly this really kind of terrible encounter, even with wonderful nurses at the hospital. This whole thing is rolled into a traumatic experience. And unfortunately, the sex assault victims are saying they believe their kits will all be tested and that then they'll have the choice if they're unreported, of turning around and making the kit reported, which means it'll be investigated by law enforcement. So given that there's this basic misunderstanding and that these kits are in some cases a decade old, we're gonna have to engage in a public awareness campaign to just let people know that if they want their unreported kit to actually be tested, they can reach back and let us know. So we have a lot of work to do, but it's important work. These are victims whose, I think, needs have really not been fully addressed, in part because of these misunderstandings, in part because these cases are very difficult to investigate. But we do know from all the work that's gone on in every state in the country, other than Maine, that doing this work is going to net us not only investigations and likely charges, but when these kits are uploaded to CODIS, which is the FBI database of DNA, they find significant percentages of times that these perpetrators have often committed other pretty heinous crimes. So we think this is important public safety work and also the work we should be doing to honor victims. Sorry, I went on there. I know you have a pretty full agenda, my apologies. And thank you for taking this up last month. I'm really appreciating the opportunity to be here tonight. I'm happy to take any other questions. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, Jackie, one question, I do have a question. How many kits are there?
We believe there are going to be around 500 in Cumberland County. We don't know, I'm not going to guess how many are going to turn out to be reported versus unreported based on fewer than 10 towns at this time. But we'll be in every single law enforcement agency in Cumberland County. I also should have said, I'm sorry, we've gotten tremendous help from every law enforcement agency we've approached. This is pretty, this is administrative, bureaucratic feeling work, count the kits, inventory them, but the enthusiasm we've seen from law enforcement and the cooperation is incredibly heartwarming. People are taking this very seriously. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, back to the agenda. 127, approval of the 2026 calendar year Board of Commissioners meeting schedule.
So moved.
Is that a move?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Second.
Is there any questions about it? No? Anybody from the public wish to speak?
Quick question. Will the calendar in its entirety be published, and if so, when? Or is it going to be rolled out week by week?
It's currently online.
Great, thank you.
Good question, Todd. Item 25-128.
Do we have to take a
We have to
vote?
vote.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Just passed. 25-128, authorize the county manager to close the county offices on Friday, December 26, 2025, for all non-essential employees and to adhere to the respective collective bargaining agreements for that day.
So moved.
Second?
Any comments?
Yes. We have a contract that says we should do that. We have several contracts, I think, that say that we should do that, plus for non-contractual issues. It's justified as well.
Any other comments?
I'll just add that the governor closed in similar fashion today, state offices.
Any comments from the public?
I have a comment, sir.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Sorry, if you guys want to come in. Frankly, I think this is a good idea. I know when I was on Scarborough Town Council, whenever we had Christmas, if it would fall, before a long weekend like this, rather than making employees, have Christmas off, then come back for Friday, and then have the rest of the weekend off. Our employees work really hard, and I think this is the right thing to do for them, so.
No. Postpone this? No, I don't think so.
You got it?
I wasn't gonna postpone.
Okay.
I don't know. I think we're gonna discuss it.
All right. 25-129, approval of the 2026
We
Board
have to vote on it.
Yeah, we need
Board
to
of
vote again.
Commissioners assignments. Those in favor?
Aye.
Item 25-129, approval of the 2026 Board of Commissioners committee assignments.
So move.
Passage, I guess. Move passage, yeah.
Second? Do we have a second? Anyway,
Those in favor?
Well,
Before we do
whoa,
that,
whoa,
Yeah,
occasionally we would have an opportunity
Conversation.
to discuss whether we want to make any changes. I don't know if anybody, somebody else might have.
So when people saw the, I guess this is comments now, right? Is there anyone from the public that wants to comment before we comment? You can comment after us. I guess, my thought to put this here at the end of the year is to kind of make sure everybody feels good about their assignments, or if they want to switch things around. I know in the past, at least a year or two, that's what would happen, is that people would say, I can't make that meeting time anymore because of a family conflict or something. So I just think it's important to discuss that, or if people like where they are with their committees, then that's great too, and that can continue. I think everyone got a copy of what their committees are, is that right? Yeah, so, how do people feel? Do people need to move things around? Or do people not want to talk about this here? We can make a motion to talk about it another time.
I have a
Well,
question.
we got to force somebody to be the chair.
I think that's on a January meeting. This is just committee meetings.
This committee.
This is just committee meetings.
So I have a question. The sheet I'm looking at, the draft, just has what we're assigned to in 2025. It doesn't have what we're assigned to for 2026.
Yep.
So do we want to, what's that mean? In other words, I'm used to seeing it with the assignments on it for the next year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if everybody's fine with their assignment, we'll just repeat it and put it on the calendar for
Okay.
January, I guess.
Okay.
I have no problem.
I don't either.
Great.
I'm fine.
Okay. I make a motion to postpone to the next meeting, the first meeting in January, the assignments.
Second?
Sounds good.
If I could, just request, one request that we typically get, and we actually got late last week, is from the county commissioners, MCCA, and the risk pool, because they have their annual meeting just after the first of the year, and they need to have who is coming forth as the appointed representative from the county. So if there's any action this evening on any two of these designated items, I would ask that MCCA and the risk pool be addressed so that we can notify them.
Jim, I'm sorry, I didn't have a chance to talk to you about this at the last meeting. MCCA indicated that they realized there was a number of counties that didn't have their assignments until January because of the flip over at the year. So they've offered to put it off for 1 month. And Malcolm for Risk Pool called me and asked the same question, and I said, probably it will take another month because of the conversation of what we've been having here. So,
It was Malcolm's email I got.
yeah, okay. So we're good.
Pending motion is to table for a month?
Yeah, well,
On table to a date certain of our very next meeting in January, which I think we just said.
you just said, yeah.
So there was a motion to table, so we need to
Yes, so
vote on the
no-
motion
no
to
one-
table with
no-
no discussion.
No one wants to assign, I guess, their committee assignments tonight, or no one wants to commit to it, so that's fine.
Can you,
Might include
can you
public health
table or
still.
postpone to a date certain so we can land it
Yeah.
on an agenda and it just doesn't float around?
To the next meeting.
Well, someone make a motion. I'll
Patty
make a
did.
motion. Or Patty, go ahead.
I just did, to a date certain, our very next meeting in January. What is it,
Second.
3rd or the 4th?
Second. Take a vote.
No discussion?
January would be
There's no discussion.
It's the first, well, it's the 6th, based on our charter, right? January 6th?
I think we had to decide one way or the other,
January
the 6th or
5th.
the 19th.
Monday the 5th.
It has to be the first Monday, it has to be the first Monday by
I'm
charter.
making a motion to take this item and move it to January 5th, 2026.
Those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now the motion. Those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
That it?
That's it. Okay. So, comments from executive staff. Teresa, I'll start with you.
I have been busy working on the audit. I think that I'll be ready to submit it by Thursday. We had some comments back on GFOA. The auditors have been working with me to do the updates. And I'm just about done with the department letter, so that will be the relief that I'm working to do, to have that filed. The deadline's the 31st of December for the GFOA, and it's the end of March for our federal compliance, and our federal compliance will be done as well at the same time. So once I file the end of December, all three of the audits will be complete until the new audit schedule we start in compiling information in April. So I'll be back in April giving the new information, but for a couple of months we will be done, but we'll still be actively updating policies and making sure that the documents are not becoming stagnant and we're up to date with all of the GASB statements that we need to be for financial. So, and the finance department's been working great. Thankfully, everybody's been really responsible and on it for the end of the year, because we've got, what did we just say, next week is the last pay period of the year. So we've got the end of the year close coming with W-2s, 1099s, 941s, all the documentations that start with end of the year, and the 1095s for the ACA compliance as well. So we have all that stuff under wraps. So busy, but it's going well.
Maybe?
I just have two things. NECU bargaining unit is going to take the agreement for another vote in January. So hopefully I'll be back at the January meeting looking for the full ratification of the agreement. And after the first of the year, we'll start our negotiations with the dispatch group again. So I'll be back probably asking for more guidance. So those are the two things that we're working on right now.
Catherine, do you have anything you wish to say?
You're going to make a speech.
So this week, we're doing something that we've been working for about 5 years now, and that's testing some of our employees for health and wellness. As you recall, about 3 years ago, you folks funded mental illness or mental wellness and giving our people an opportunity for 1 hour check-in annually, which is a good move because of the fact of what they see on a day-to-day basis. The wellness, the legislature appropriated $2 million to go statewide. And then from there, they took each county and broke it down. Cumberland gets $444,000, but that's for every corrections officer, law enforcement officer, firefighter, and EMS staff in Cumberland County. So although we're going to have some vacancies, which I'm a little disappointed in, but cops and dispatchers and corrections officers are skeptical about confidentiality, and their thought is, you know, that's my private business. So we're offering that completely confidential. It's a two-pronged test. It's specialized blood testing for public safety. And then there's a follow-up with stress testing, ultrasound, and actually meeting with somebody to talk about healthy eating, et cetera. So you folks approved a pass-through, which we're appreciative of, because again, this is something that, as somebody sold me a couple years ago, the average heart attack for an employee is about $450,000 for an for the employer, and for the cost of $850, we can get this testing done. It will test for heart attack, stroke, and cancer, as well as some of the other things that are taking public safety people. So I'm excited about it. You know, we do have a lot of people, but we won't utilize all the money, and then we'll give it back in police departments in Cumberland County or fire departments that didn't get an opportunity. We'll get to use that money, but like I said, a pretty good majority, and it's just a good thing to do to make sure that we keep our employees healthy and moving in the right direction. So, thank you.
Thank you. Now for our assistant manager.
I don't have anything to report at this time. Thank you.
James.
Just want to report out that last week, the Finance Committee met to get the introduction to the FY '27 budget. Went through a process of selecting a number of departments, more than any other year, I think. I think we're actually filling 2 nights with departments this year. And so both the January meetings, January 6th and January 27th, will both have a significant number of departments presenting at the Finance Committee meeting. But good night, good first step, but a long way to go to get to a recommendation for the county commissioners. Other than that, just want to wish you all happy holidays and thank you for a great year. Appreciate it.
That's it for staff. Unless our district attorney wishes to say something.
I appreciate the opportunity. I will be back in January to speak with you in more detail.
Thank you.
Wonderful holidays.
Commissioner Cloutier.
It's been quite a while, ever since the departure of Commissioner Neil Jamison, that we've had a local sports report. And I have one for the board and people here today. Last Saturday, I had a chance to go to a Maine Celtics game. The occasion was a special afternoon for Special Olympics in Greater Portland, really. And learned some kind of surprising things. The first was that the Maine Celtics had already been on a 7-game winning streak, which seemed, they hadn't played that many games, so that was a lot. They won that game. There was nothing, it was never in doubt after about the first half. And I saw in the paper the next day that, actually a couple of days later, that they then had a game the next day and won that one too. So I know their streak's at least 9, and they played to a full house, and a lot of enthusiasm. And the Special Olympians participated in significant ways in the proceedings, and one of them sang the national anthem. Not all the words were correct, but the finish was rousing, and the place rose to their feet with appreciation for that. I will not spend a lot of time talking about what I think is the kind of the challenging issue of our service here for the last many months, having to do with ICE. People talk about the ICE contract, and the commissioners know there's no contract with ICE. There's a contract with the Marshal Service, who coordinates for the courts, the ICE, for the Border Patrol, and we've come a substantial distance from the day when we first figured out that we need to assess and address the ICE issue, and that continues. And I've discussed with a few people trying to gather even more information than we've been able to accumulate so far and try to evaluate what's happening, not just in Maine, but across, certainly across New England, which is probably less friendly to the procedures that have been used nationally than other parts of the country would be. And that may result in a meeting here in the next few days, and continuing, I would expect, and any commissioner is certainly welcome. At some point, we may ask the the management or the commission itself to engage in some technical assistance if we get that far. So that's just a comment I have, and if anybody is interested in that, then I can be found on the internet. And frankly, the only other thing I want to mention tonight is congratulations to Brianna for joining us. Glad to have you. Congratulations to all the staff who have done. Actually, we've made some very substantial progress this year after struggling with it for quite a while. So that's good. Jim Gailey is the guilty party on a lot of that progress, and we're going to congratulate him as well. And certainly the work done by our chair has been diligent and centered, and I'm sure our next chair, whoever she may be, will be just as capable. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, it's been an interesting year. My first year sitting as a commissioner has obviously, most of it has gone very well. I still have some deep concerns when we were talking about the ICE situation. My legislative background, I have read LD 1971 2 or 3 times, and it spells out a lot of things, but it doesn't seem to change much from the way that the sheriff is already operating and the way he's held the standards up. I'll be interested to see what the legal opinions are. But beyond that, I thank all the staff for what they do and how they work so very hard, and the things that they've been involved in and all the negotiations Jamie's had to go through this year, trying to stagger them out. But I hope everybody has a happy holiday and a good season, and the start of the new year is going to be interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner.
Thank you. I just want to start by thanking folks for showing up. I think it's important for people to let their opinions be known on either side of any issue. I will again beg all of you to take your arguments up the road to Augusta. That's who really needs to hear from you also. As I mentioned before, one of our major issues is there is state law that requires that we take any prisoners, well, I shouldn't say, I don't want to know what I want to, people arrested, let's put it that way, into jails, and we don't have the opportunity to say we won't take them. So that's number one that needs to be addressed, and I would ask you to do that. And I worked, or I should say I observed LD 1971 when it first came up last year, because I was, along with Commissioner Gordon, we're co-chairs of the Legislative Policy Committee for the state commissioners. And when LD 1971 first came up, I was like, what? It was like, you know, it didn't make any sense. Now that it's been amended, I'm very supportive of it. And I think that it's great that the governor is going to allow it to go into law. But to be honest with you, I know one of the speakers tonight mentioned, oh, that'll make a difference in what goes on with the jail. And it's like, no, I don't think it will. Because we, as Commissioner Tyler mentioned, it really doesn't change too much about how our sheriff already operates with what goes on with the jail. So again, I beg you to get in touch with your state legislators and go up to Augusta also. Stand around in the halls up there with your signs and whatnot. They need to see this also. I just want to thank everyone for putting up with me for the first year as a county commissioner. It was quite interesting, the things I've learned, and different way of looking at life. And I was thrown right into the deep end by being a state chair on a legislative policy, but that's okay. That was good. I do want to thank Mr. Gordon, our chair, for leading us this year. I know it's not easy. If you know anything about me, you will know that I never, ever wanted to be chair in Scarborough, so I was like never chair. So, I just want to do that. I'd rather be a backbencher, but that's another story. So I thank Steve for doing this job. I thank all the employees of the county. They do a yeoman's job. The county's in a very peculiar situation, sandwiched between municipalities and the state, and the state doesn't step up to what, in my opinion, what they should be doing to be supporting counties in so many ways, including not funding our jails enough so that we're in these positions where it's like having to weigh, what we're gonna do. That shouldn't even be an obstacle. So I thank all the employees and of course all of the folks that I talk to on a regular basis, and the poor manager, he's very nice. He takes my calls on the weekend when I think of something and I have to ask him, and he'll call me back, which I think's awesome. But
I gotta learn how you do that.
I don't know, he answers my calls, I can't.
You weren't supposed to tell the other four.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oops, I'm in trouble now. Anyway, I will see all of you next year. Have a pleasant holiday season, and see you in 2026. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Smith.
One question, a couple updates and a comment or two. I guess since we're here, a question was raised, and I think it's when we can, it's nice to answer questions if we can, sometimes we can't. But someone raised a question during public comment. How many immigrant women are in our jail here in Cumberland County? Someone raised that question. I think it's accurate, the question. Since we have the sheriff here, I don't know if the sheriff knows that answer. You may not know that answer?
I don't.
Don't know, okay.
Can I just, how many are from Maine?
Oh, that was the question, I got it wrong?
Question.
Oh, immigrant women from Maine.
Women are in our jail currently from
And
Maine.
you know that one? Okay. So maybe we can get back to answer the question in January. We don't know tonight, but I appreciate the question. And if we can answer questions, I think it's helpful. So that was my question. Updates, I had a really great opportunity last week. It was a frigid morning. Should have had way more long johns on than I had, but we had a wonderful opening ceremony for the last single neighborhood house for Habitat for Humanity in South Portland, and the county was involved with funding to make that happen, partnered with Habitat for Humanity to have 6 homes, single-family homes in an area of South Portland that was raw land, and they somehow shoehorned in 6 really nice, small, affordable homes for folks who wouldn't normally be able to afford a mortgage. They worked closely with Habitat for Humanity. They put in volunteer hours. I was told over 10,000 volunteer hours were put in to each of those homes. And so now there's this beautiful cul-de-sac street with all Habitat for Humanity homes in South Portland, and it's really, really wonderful, and it really warms my heart. Even though it was freezing out, it was like, these people have a home. They have a roof over their head, and I'm so grateful for the county for putting in the money, and also for Habitat for Humanity. They do great work, and they do a great job getting volunteers involved, so I want to shout out to them. The Finance Committee, I was sitting in on that the other night just because I'm a little bit of a financial nerd. I came clean on that. But it's great to see our finance director and our budget finance director, Elisa Johnson, right? Did I say her name correct? Alyssa, I always say Elisa. Alyssa was here with Brianna Ann Jim. It was a great first meeting, a really good committee has formed, they're asking great questions. I think it's gonna be a great process, I'm excited for the budget meetings to continue. And just say that, I'll say the county manager does a great job of putting it all together at the high level, so people really have a great snapshot of what we do and how we do it, but also some of the challenges when you put a budget together of where you're gonna find, the people, the resources to do the work. So I want to say I think that's so far really well done, and I'm proud of the work that's been done so far. Speaking of proud of the work, I do also want to thank all the employees at Cumberland County, all of the different departments, all of the people that we touch. It is a weird thing. The county is a weird entity in that people are identified with their towns typically, or their state, and not everyone identifies with their county. Clearly, we have a role to play, and I think we can be leaders, and I know that we work hard to create environment where people have resources that might not otherwise have resources, where there might be gaps, the county can come in and hopefully help in that situation. So to the staff, thank you for all the hard work. Thank you for all the planning that you do and the funding that you receive, the grant getting that you get. It really makes the world a difference. So thank you for all that. The last thing I guess I'll say is, well, two things. I want to thank the chair and my fellow commissioners. Through working through some tough issues here and there, every day you never know what's going to be happening, and I think that's just part of public service. We're here to do a job and represent people as best we can, and I appreciate the commissioners' time in working through any issue and all issues that come before us. I want to thank the chair for leading. Appreciate it. It's always a tough job to do, in even the best circumstances. So thank you for your leadership this year. And the last is hope people have a nice, happy holiday if possible, and recognize that if you have resources to give it to people who need it. Generosity goes a long way this time of year, and just remember too that sometimes holidays are hard. 988 is a resource number for people who might be lonely or scared. Put it out there. Thanks.
Thanks, Commissioner, that's wonderful. Well, this will probably be my last Christmas. No, I'll have one more. That I'll be here on the commission, so it's kind of a little bit bittersweet here, being in this position. First, I'd like to admit to a somewhat of a tactic. Some of the times that you notice that the commissioners jump in and help me by saying, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. That's a way to get people to pay attention to a meeting. Nice try. The other thing that has been mentioned here, and I will say this about counties, because I've been very active in the state process with counties, is that, as has been mentioned, we're a wedge in between the state and the communities. And what has not been realized, and I've attended a number of the people that are running for office for governor, and explained to them that they've got a level of government that they've never taken advantage of. Mm-hmm. They can do a lot of things for them in areas that they don't know how to get it controlled, because they either have to go to the legislature or they have to go through the budget process of their own. But there is this government that can help. And I take my hat off to the manager and to this commission, because they are somewhat entrepreneurial in moving forward with new projects that help communities essentially get the work done, and it is for a level type of cost. And there's a couple of issues. One is the tax, when we have tax assessors, and providing that service for communities. We also have a program that's being built now that I think is going to be very economical for communities, and it's to try to help the fire departments become consistent within their group areas. people understand that the equipment is going up and up and up, and the community just cannot afford having a single piece of fire equipment that sits there while another community could use it, or they can share and help cut their costs. Again, that's something that the county is offering communities, and communities are taking advantage of it. There's one other program too, but it just doesn't come to mind.
General assistance.
Yeah. Catherine, general assistance. And I have heard from a couple of communities that have started to use that, and there are a number of their abutters communities that are looking over and saying, you get it done for what? And so I see those programs evolving, growing, and assisting the communities so that the costs start to level out rather than have to increase every year. Now, as to the ICE issue, there's a couple of things that I think were misunderstood. There was a comment that it was $7. Well, I don't know where $7 ever came from, but where the communications that I've always put out is that it meant if we got rid of the ICE contract, that it would cost our county citizens an additional up to 4% on the property tax. So it's just trying to get the information out there so that it's correct. I'm not saying that it's wrong or right or whatever. Has been put forth, both federal and state law requires our jails to accept all prisoners at this time. And to try to find out what the new LD 1791, is it?
1971.
1971 is going to put forth. That has to be determined. But up until that time, if we were to eliminate the contract, as has been wished, what would happen is we still would have to take those prisoners. And then instead of ICE supporting or reimbursing us for those costs, we would have to pay those costs, and that would go on the property tax. So it's a bifurcated issue. People think that the contract has something to do whether prisoners are accepted or not accepted at the jail. That's not so. With that, I'll try to pull this back together again in this way. I respect the people that are here. I hear what you're saying, and I don't like it any more than you do. But I have a law that we have to uphold, and if we don't, then we're no better than some of the other people. I have assistance that we need to give people, and it's occurring. The other issue with us not taking or getting rid of the contract is that we then put a burden on those people that are living on the edge on the other end. So I hope people understand what I'm saying, and they'll take that to heart as far as what the facts are. As far as where we're trying to go, we're with you. This commission is with you. You've heard one comment from one commissioner indicating that they want to meet and talk to people to see how we can move down this road. I believe that. And there's a number of us have tried to do some research to find out, is there any way we can assist the sheriff in having something that he can do or that office can do that will not allow what's going on as far as assisting and getting people moved out of the area so no one or no family or no officer knows where they are. Shame on us. Shame on us.
Can I ask a question?
No. And with that, I'll come back and say, I hope people have a happy holiday. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, because That's where it's all got to start, and that's what we've got to believe in. So thank you. With that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Those in favor?
Aye.